I feel it too. What do you know as an adult that you wish you knew as a kid?
Food is medicine.
Welcome, everyone, again to another episode of F5 Collective Presents Women in Business. Today, I am over the moon with the fact that we get to be with Peggy Curry, who's the co-founder of Curry Girls Kitchen. You're going to hear all about this. And also the co-founder of Growing Great. I have known Peggy for a little while, and I've had the opportunity to cook and work with Peggy. And she's also going to talk a little bit about, we'll get to that as well, about her wonderful cookbook called Damn Good Gluten Free Eating. I love that title so much, and it's such a great cookbook. So Peggy, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so delighted to have you. Really, it's so good to see you.
Well, thank you for having me. It really is such a blessing and a gift to be with you right now.
Well, let's just get into it, because we have had a chance to work together, and I've always appreciated that. But why don't you say a little bit about yourself and how you've, because your food journey is very unique and beautiful, but you started really as an educator and special ed educator. So how did all of that start?
So I grew up in West L.A. and I lived in a really wonderful small little town outside of Beverly Hills. And growing up was an adventure for me because I was the youngest there were three siblings. My brother's 10 years older, my sister's 5 years older, and I had a father who was a doctor and a mother who actually, she's such an impetus to so much of everything that I've done. She was a very special lady. And she really, I think, led the way. In the beginning, she was a stay-at-home mom. But what she did, she actually was really involved in nonprofit for severely disabled children called Cheer for Children at the time. Now, we're going back so many years. As I'm turning 70, and that's when I was like in my littles, not even a 10. So I was, I guess, introduced to the nonprofit world and kids with disabilities at a very young age.
Okay.
And then at around 12, my mom had the urge to get creative, and she wanted to go to work. And she was an amazing creative, and turns out a great businesswoman. She started a company called, she didn't start, she worked for a woman who started a company called Lilies of Beverly Hills. Okay. And my mom did so well that after a year, the woman who owned the company said, we need to be partners. And so she became a partner, and life changed for both her and our family, because now my mom worked full time. So I was 12 years old and I had a working mom. And, it's just, you start thinking about the world and life. But also in that time, I had developed from this extraordinarily gregarious girl, young kid, to creating a lot of fears because I missed my mom and my siblings weren't nice to me. And, life just changed. And not long after, I met my husband at the age of 15. So at 15 in high school, I meet my husband, but I don't know he's going to be my husband yet, but that's when we met. And we literally, just, I guess, knew at a very young age we were going to be together for a long time.
Wow.
So, and then I went off to college, went to San Diego State, and at that time, I started getting really sick, and I didn't know why. I started having panic disorder, and I started having a lot of digestive disorders, and no one could tell me what was happening in my life. And so I moved back to LA, and I went to Cal State University, Northridge, where I graduated with a bachelor's in, Bachelor of Arts degree or science, and became a special education teacher. But I was sick throughout that whole time. And so I had these like amazing friends that would take me and drive me to school. I would carpool with friends. I would go through my studies. I managed living life at a very young age from like 18 to 28 with severe panic disorder.
Wow.
And again, I was like, why is this happening? And I did a lot of work around it, even very young, trying to figure this out. So now we kind of fast forward, and at 23, Tim and I get married. And I've done a lot of therapy. I've seen probably every doctor imaginable. No one can tell me what's the matter with me. But then the interesting part, from the moment Tim and I met, he was having severe issues with debilitating migraines and elephantitis swelling. And it
Wow.
started as a very young child for him. So he was dealing with his own physical things going on in his life. And so together we kind of converged with both of our things that were happening. And, we both are, trying to search for answers. No doctors can help us with anything. So 23, we get married, and, we would love to start a family, but unfortunately, I don't feel well enough. And I was scared to actually start a family then.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm teaching. I started teaching in Culver City Unified in the middle school, and I had amazing people, my posse, in because back then we had counselors
Mm-hmm.
and we were all really close friends. So they were helping me manage my anxiety while I was teaching. It was
Wow.
amazing. Your friends really like I hope everyone knows the benefit and the gift of having really good friends
Yeah.
that take care of us. And so during that time, I was really well cared for. And so then I was told that maybe if I changed my food, that was like a possibility that could help. And it actually did start to help. And I was on medication for a short period of time, relearned how to be in the world, like as simple things of going to a market, getting out of bed, walking down the street. I mean, I couldn't do all those everyday things when I was in the thick of severe panic disorder and
Right.
even agoraphobia.
Wow.
So it's just a very interesting trajectory of I believe that every single thing that happens in our life is on purpose. There's
Mm-hmm.
no accidents. Getting sick, working through it. But then the irony comes when I finally would get pregnant. And this is like almost 16 years after we were together for 8 years and then married for 8 years. And then we start creating this family. And I was still teaching. And then finally, I said 2 years in, when they decided, okay, we'll give you a part time job because you're really good at what you do and we don't want to lose you. So they made me an administrator to help teachers be better at their job because I was really good at teaching
Mm.
and I found my passion. Because at first, I really wanted to be a doctor. Who knows why I wanted to be a doctor? Maybe because I was a doctor. I don't know. But my brain was not cut out for being a doctor. So teaching and being an educator was everything to me. I felt so at home. I felt on purpose.
Mm.
And so here I am teaching. I get pregnant, and then I have my I have the first two kids like 2 years apart.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized I don't want to leave them. So I retire from teaching.
Mm.
So Megan, our second daughter, we have Alex. She was pretty easy growing up, no problem. But Megan, since birth, had a problem. And
Wow.
that's really where our story begins. Because Megan was so sick from the moment she came out. At 3 months old, she had ear infections, chronic sickness. There was always something the matter. And I was taking her to all these different doctors. And again, No one could figure it out. No one ever even talked about food. So then I have another baby, Annie, and then I have another baby 15 months later. So we had in 6 years, we had 4 children, and I had a miscarriage. But then, can I say this? The shit hit the fan for
Yes,
us.
you can say that.
Okay, good. So the shit hit the fan because it ended up all of our kids and all of us had some really debilitating symptoms that weren't going away. And no doctors, no pediatrician, no one was helping us. So the journey with Megan began with, as she got older and she was in school and she was still having problems and the brain fogs and the sickness. And then Annie had these behavior disorders that I recognized from being a special ed school teacher. And Sam just always vomited. Everything was a vomit. And Alex was just kind of in her own world, doing her thing. And Tim with his headaches and, me with IBS. Thankfully, panic disorder was getting to be, much more manageable at the time. But I just realized that I needed to find another way. And I had the mentality that I believed helped me to this day in business as well, of never giving up. I never gave up on trying to find the answers for the health of my family and the health of both Tim and me. And so we just finally fell into something that happened 17 years later. And this is why I'm so passionate about what I did. I don't want any person to have to go through 17 years of hell and back with their kids. In that Megan got so sick and she was getting ready to go off to college that it was like, oh my goodness, we have to do something. So we had been working with some really amazing alternative doctors. And at the time I was also working with, because I was also cooking and teaching cooking by then, and we'll go back and we'll talk about that lineage there. But with Megan, she's so sick, and I was working with some celiac clients. And they're like, you need to get tested for like gluten intolerance. And I'm like, what? This was beyond me. I didn't even know anything about this other than working with these clients to make their food taste better.
Right.
Sure enough, we all get tested. We all have the genetics. We're all gluten intolerant.
Oh my gosh.
And literally within a month, all of our lives have changed. All of our lives changed. And that was 20 years ago. And we never looked back. So that's the story of how we got to learning about gluten intolerance. But no doctor ever said, have you considered your food? Have you considered, so now we can kind of look at going back here. We're raising kids. I'm a mom, full-time mom. But my very first, I guess you could say, entrepreneurial experience was when the kids were little. So I had my mom and me. And I should say this is a very important part. So when the kids were all young, I think Sam was just a baby, 6 months old, and Alex was 6 years old. My mom died of breast cancer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And that was 34 years ago. And my mom, all of us were like, what could we do to honor? When someone dies that you love, it's very normal. People set up a nonprofit. People do stuff to honor them that have that in them.
Right.
And for us, we wanted to do something to honor my mom. And at the time when I was teaching, I had this organic marinara sauce. And everyone's like, Peggy, let's honor mom with the organic marinara sauce. So born out of that was Evie's Garden Organic Marinara. So that was like my very first big entrepreneurial adventure. And it was big. And we decided not to make it a nonprofit. All proceeds, because we didn't know how it was going to succeed or anything, Well, it was one of the very first food items on the shelf that all proceeds went to breast cancer research and patient support.
Wow.
And so here I have these 6 young kids, and now I'm traveling around at all the grocery stores. You know, the people that give the tastes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Oh my
was me.
gosh.
And there were 40 stores. Whole Foods picked it up nationally. Gelson's picked it up. I mean, it became national. And I was a busy worker bee working on this. And I realized one day, 6 years in, I no longer wanted to raise money for disease. I no longer wanted to raise money for disease. There was something in me that said there's something bigger that I needed to do. And I needed to teach. I needed to teach people how to eat for their health. And during that time, I had a friend, a very dear friend, who had stage 4 melanoma, and she needed help with her food. And so I helped her with her food. She was a school teacher with me. And I set up this grid. And the grid, that's now called my KIND method, was an organizational chart to help parents, because I personally used that with 4 kids. I needed my organization, what's for dinner, what was going on that day, you know, creating the meals that fit for the day of busyness.
Mm-hmm.
But I shopped 1 day a week. I had everything I needed in the house. So, you know how frenzied people get with dinner?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what the heck is for dinner tonight? This took everything out of that. And Estelle looked at me, that was my friend with the cancer, and she said, Peggy, you need to teach this. That's when Kitchen Blessings, my first business, I guess. I mean, Evie's Garden Organic Marinara was a business, but it was really passion for my mom and how it morphed into teaching people how to nourish and feed their families with the highest quality of food that's available. I wanted parents to feed their kids, to feed themselves nourishing foods, because they weren't doing it.
Yeah.
It was about convenience. It was about fast food. It was about, I'm so busy, I don't know what to do, it's too hard, and it's too much money. Those were the things that I used to get a lot of. So that's when I started Kitchen Blessings. And I started first with a woman. We were partners for a year, and we realized this wasn't a good fit. And so we split up, and I took my business, and I was teaching hundreds of people out of my kitchen. And for years, I did that. But after that first year, I had parents come to me from the school district and said, you're a teacher. You teach people how to eat for their health, and you're teaching all this. We need you to create a nutrition program for this newly created organization called Growing Great. I was like, ooh, that's my jam. I manage all that. I still have kids at home. I'm doing my kitchen, my teaching, cooking. And I was like, sure. So I met with them, and it was like an instant yes. And there were 4 of us that started the organization. A year later, one dropped out. And Growing Great is this unbelievable program that was created in 1999. I joined in 2000, and it is still going 26 years later as a national program that empowers children to they have a new mission, so I want to say it correctly. So it's empowering children to make healthy food choices that are hands-on with STEM and science and garden education. So I did it for 20 years nonstop. I taught hundreds of docents around the Los Angeles area. And then even before COVID hit, we were recommended that we put everything online so that we could teach more people. So we created an online platform, to which your brother was one of the people that did it with us.
Oh, good.
I know. It's really cool how it comes for the full circle,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So, anywho, but so we created this online platform, and 2 years later, COVID hit. Well,
Wow.
everybody wanted the program, and
Yeah, I
it's just
bet.
been amazing ever since. So Growing Great, I came off the board about 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
um, but you know, Growing Great was happening, Kitchen Blessings was happening, our life kept going and evolving, and then Megan graduated from college,
Mm-hmm.
and we it was so incredible because we had neighbors, because we live half the time in Steamboat now and
Mm-hmm.
half the time in California. And we had a bunch of friends that were doing this cleansing with food reset. And we're like, sure, we'll try it. And Megan had just finished college, and she was kind of good being gluten free and kind of not, but
Mm.
she never really felt, even then, her whole life, even going gluten free, she never really felt it because she wasn't really 100% committed
Mm.
in her body of what true health felt.
Yeah.
So here we do this reset, and she's like, Mom, I've never felt like this before in my life. Never. I feel no chronic symptom, no chronic anything. It's an anti-inflammatory, food program that teaches people which foods work best in your body. And she goes, Mom, please don't sell your business. Let's work together. And I'm thinking, she's the perfect partner. She's the perfect person. Yes. So out with Kitchen Blessings and in with Curry Girls Kitchen. So you can see this trajectory, how things are going here, right?
Yeah.
And so in 2012, Megan and I created Curry Girls Kitchen together,
Wow.
which is where I'm at today. And it's the same mission that I bring from Growing Great, because I wrote the nutrition program for Growing Great, and all of these, they've helped hundreds of thousands of students now across the board for all these years, and
Yeah.
continue with tens of thousands annually. So it's pretty amazing that, when you have a very simple mission, and that's what Curry Girls has, a very simple mission. We want to help people heal their bodies through food. And we want them to learn and discover which foods work for their bodies. So they're empowered, they have ownership. And that's really like, the whole thing, how it just kind of evolved into it. And I have to say, once we went gluten free, our lives all changed.
Yeah.
But once we started this cleansing with food reset, it was the next level. It was really true health for all of us to learn which foods work best in our body. So, those are really so many of the, I guess, all of the different entrepreneurial aspects of what I
Right.
do. But I guess we can say, I can say the grandest thing that I've done in my life is to be a mother that has raised functional, happy, healthy kids. And we know today to raise 4 kids and to be able to say that, I was so grateful I chose that, because what I didn't share with you is when the kids were all home, I had some very big wigs come to me. And do you remember Mary Englebright?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mary Englebright was before Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
And these people wanted to make me the Martha Stewart. That's what they wanted. They saw a vision with Evie's Garden, organic marinara. They saw all this vision with me. And I had like a half a dozen people in my living room. And Tim actually pulled me aside because he saw where this was going. And he looked at me and he goes, do you want to raise your family, or do you want to be like your mom? That's what he said to me.
Mm.
And at the time, it was very powerful. And even years later, I was kind of like, Well, what would have happened had that not been proposed to me? It would have been
Yeah.
a very different life.
Yeah.
And I just have to say, I was very happy I chose raising our children,
Mm.
because I think that's probably one of the most powerful things that we can do on this planet, is to choose to raise our kids and to invest in our children and make them a priority. Because there is time to do all that other stuff that we have to do, and
Mm-hmm.
even weave it in a very honorable way. I think that is so powerful for people to hear, because I think there's a confusion between motherhood, creativity, and being an entrepreneur. And I
Mm.
think there is this tug of war going on with a lot of women. So now here I am in going into my 70th year, and I've been doing this for such a long time. I wouldn't change any of it.
Mm.
And so I told all of them, no, thank you. No, thank you. And shortly after came Martha Stewart. And I can't tell you that there wasn't times where I was like, oh gosh, that could have been me.
Yeah.
That could have been me. But I'm like, I am so grateful for my life. No looking back. Only staying present and looking ahead, looking at what I get to do right now and what I've created over all these years. Maybe they're not as dramatic and huge, because I always thought, I think we always come with this big picture attitude of,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be on TV and I want to do this and I want to do that. And I did. And I still have producers that want me to do that. But I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like the theory of every person that I get to help and serve and be generous with the time that I do have, is such a gift. I think we lose focus when we want that grandeur,
Yeah.
and that money. I think money is a big focus for a lot of people too. So, I've been very blessed, and I live, what is that word? Is it entitled that people use the word entitled? It's not entitled, but it's no, it's like when I never have to worry, but you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
what is the word that people say today? Privileged.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I do live a privileged life, and I've known it. But because where privilege is for me, I give back generously, both in time and money, and whatever people ask of me that they need. That's what I believe is the abundance that we get to share within the world. Whatever that passion, whatever that purpose is, that's that coming together in unity. Because I do believe that we're all one. We're all one human race. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I learned that where I grew up, from my parents, from Tim and me, from everything. That's just, it's that gift of giving and giving back when we can.
Yeah. Well, I also think that, because of how you focused, how you work with everyone, there's a personal touch to everything you do. And taking the time with your kids and understanding that individual need and focusing on that is, even from as someone who's worked with you when you've done that. I mean, I know you've done stuff for me. I mean, there are things I've incorporated in my life that I always point out and say, I would not know that if Peggy hadn't pointed that out. If she hadn't reminded me that raw honey is, I mean, this is way back when, forever. And you took me with you, and we got the raw honey. We got the new, coconut. We got the right maple syrup. I mean, all these different things that you're like, Linda, you need to try. And it was just like life changing. But it's because you took the time to know me, right? Mm-hmm. And, that's something that I actually wanted to speak to a little bit, because it's the, I'm looking here because I love it. Bio-Individuality and food as medicine, which, so if you can speak to that a little bit, because I think a lot of times people don't remember that while you can look at all these different quote unquote diets, right? And they are nothing is going to be one size fits all, which with your kids, with yourself and Tim, your family, you were able to say, okay, this is what I've discovered. I now need to show you guys. So can you speak to that a little bit?
100%. So bio-individuality, I realized and learned, it's like, our fingertips, they're all different. There's no two people exactly alike.
Right.
Well, there's no one pill that's going to cure something. There's no one, protocol that's going to fix everyone. It's up to us. Hippocrates was correct. Food is thy medicine, and so I like to share with people that crap in, crap lives within your body. Your organs, your cells, they are designed to eat a certain way. Now, does everyone have an idea what's best for them? Like there's people that want to be paleo, want to be keto, want to be vegetarian, want to be plant-based vegan, want to be gluten-free, want to be, there's, dairy-free, egg-free, whatever that is for you. That's the knowledge that you're giving and blessing your body with, because you want to get your body to a place, and that's the bio-individuality.
Mm-hmm.
That's it hums. I teach this. Happy cells, happy body, happy life.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're humming, do you ever feel into that, like, oh, I'm on today. Like I'm humming.
Oh, yeah.
I've nourished myself well, both in body, mind, and spirit. And that's another place too, is that we have this bio-individuality of everything that we choose in our life. Whether it's the food, whether it's the spiritual aspects, whether it's, what are we going to do in the day and who are we going to serve, or it's like you have a choice in every turn of every moment of every day. And so learning about yourself, to me, is the greatest gift that we can give to ourselves. And to me, that is the bio-individuality of the choice we make by understanding what our body's needs are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's really great. Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting, Peggy, because you talk about the longevity of your time in the food business, and you and I both know the food business is rough. That it's not an easy business. And so how in teaching this, which was also when you were starting to teach it, it was a whole new kind of thing. So I remember when I was working with you, it's opening people's minds and broadening their minds, and celiac was brand new and all this stuff. What do you attribute your longevity in this amazing business that you continue forward with?
Well, I think it's really simple. I think that people overthink and over dramatize that it's so complicated to make a good meal. I don't know if it's generational too, but I do find that the kids today, from like 30 on, are really understand, and some actually even earlier, 20s, we can say, the word is out because social media. Social media is really shining the light on the food and the poor quality of food that they're feeding our children, that they're creating in boxes, that they're trying to feed the world, but really not, because everything is usually sprayed with chemicals because they're supposedly better for you and I can feed more people. But then you're killing more people because it's a known carcinogen. So it's like the quality. So I don't use the term high quality food lightly. It's purposeful. So the simplicity is when you shop seasonal, local, organic, or regenerative, now regenerative farms are coming in big, sustainable food companies. And what that means, people go, well, do I really have to buy organic? And I say, well, so tell me this. At the age of 50, you've been eating all the food in the center of the regular grocery stores that are boxed, and they have this long shelf life. And the food that it comes from, this very seed to the food that it was made of, is loaded with pesticides and, just low quality or empty nutrition. And then at 50, you get this diagnosis, whatever it is, whether it's heart disease, dementia, Alzheimer's, heart disease, cancer, any of them, or diabetes, right? Because really, you've been eating an empty food source. And so what I want to share is that understanding the quality of our food matters, and where it's sourced from. So to me, the simplicity is, I shop every week. I said one time a week. I drive to the farmer's market. That's 10 minutes from my house. I know all my farmers. I've been doing it for over 35 years. My original farmer's still at my market. He gives
Wow.
me hugs every time I see him. He knew my mother. He's known all my children. So I've known my farmers for a very long time. I know where my food is coming from. I know the quality of my food. And when you shop at a farmer's market for I feel the most important part of our food source, which is your vegetables, your fruits, even meats. They have
Yeah.
tons of meats. I get A1 sheep yogurt at my farmer's market. So, I mean, it's pretty awesome. You can
Mm-hmm.
pretty much buy everything except for the staples, your pantry staples, at the farmer's market. And
Yeah.
once a week, because you have that grid that's telling you, oh, the way the cookbook was set up and the way I've taught it is they're themed weeknight dinners to make it fun and creative, you know? And so it doesn't have to be time consuming, expensive, or hard. It just doesn't. Food we should just embrace and celebrate.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's definitely what makes people come back for more, because then they see the possibility, right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I can do this. Accessibility. It's that accessibility,
A hundred.
taking away that we tend to get terrified. I used to do this with people. I would help people get over their fear of their kitchen. And
Yeah.
I would talk them through it. And one of the things I would say to them was, so when you go to a restaurant, do you go in and look at their kitchen? Well, no. Okay. Have you ever met the chef? No. Okay. So you don't even know what kind of product they have in there. And you're just trusting this person you've never met in a place you've never been to cook you a meal. But you don't trust yourself in your own home. And you can control that completely. And they're like, oh, I never thought of that. I'm like, there we go. So let's start getting over your fear of your kitchen, and let's have you
And
embrace it.
I love that so much. And then there's the next level,
Mm-hmm.
energy.
Yeah.
The energy of the food. Like there's a part in the chapter of the book where I say, people would always say, why do your kids always come back? Why do they love hanging out with you? Why do you? I said, oh, there's a little secret called energy. I put my love and energy into my food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Showed up every day. We communicated around our tables, for dinner specifically. And it's like that energy permeates into your food, into your
Yeah.
meals. So that I love that you said that about restaurants, because it's like you don't know who's cooking your food. What kind of
No.
energy are you eating?
Yeah. What
You
was
know?
their day like, earlier
Yeah,
today? I
we
mean,
don't know.
my gosh, it's so true. No, okay, so you bring up the cookbook. Okay, I'm going to do this. I love this. I love that I get to do this.
Okay.
Oh, we have the cookbook.
Thank
So,
you.
damn good gluten free. So, what led to the book, Peggy? Come on.
Oh, it took 12 years in the making. I
Mm-hmm.
always knew that I wanted to because I couldn't service enough people. Once we started going gluten free, and every client that I ever had, they're like the people that come to me because no
Mm-hmm.
doctor ever told them, oh, let's look at your food, but they still have all these debilitating symptoms. And so I get them when they're at their wits' end. They've been to 9 doctors, they've had millions of tests, and I say, okay, let's do the cleanse and let's look at the food. And we take out all inflammatory foods, which is gluten, dairy, all these other things. And they learn when they start reintroducing them. Oh, and I also have them have a little test where it
Mm-hmm.
comes out of their intestine to just double check and make sure they have that information for themselves. And it's amazing. So that book is my dissertation. I call it a dissertation because it's not an inexpensive book. Every recipe has been photographed. I self-published it because I
Wow.
wanted it to be in a way that people can actually assimilate it into their lives. When editors take a book and they're what's that word called? They're published.
Mm-hmm.
published, and then they give you a whole bunch of money and you have to sell so many. That book wasn't about having to sell. It wasn't about, oh, how much money am I going to make off this book? That book is gold. It's
Yeah.
gold to every person that gets it in their hand because it's an education. Chapter 1 is about our life story, how we got there. Chapter 2 is this kind method, kitchen improvements to nourish yourself daily, where we talked about that grid. It
Yeah.
talks about farmers market. What kind of oils are better for us? So it's the education that I teach when I work one-on-one with people and they spend a lot of money with me, but now they have this book that they can read.
Yeah.
And then the way the chapters are set up, because I love having fun, I want people to have fun, I want people to enjoy their food. It doesn't matter how good it is for you. If the food doesn't taste good,
Oh, you're not going to do it.
no one is going to eat it.
Yeah.
So that is another big thing for me, is that it's got to taste good. So every one of those recipes has been vetted a million times over by lots of people that have eaten in my house, as you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm.
And the thing is that when you look at all the recipes and how it's set up, Monday night is Italian, Tuesday night is, Mexican taco night, Wednesday's fish, Thursday's veggie night, Fridays because we celebrate Shabbat,
Mm-hmm.
and we celebrate everything because my husband's Catholic and I'm Jewish. We raise our children of spirit, which is the next book that I'm currently writing called Raising Children of Spirit.
Nice.
And so, it's like the blending of everything. Food is just it really became our ritual and traditions of gathering together. Oh, last night was, St. Patrick's Day and
Mm-hmm.
everyone came over for our traditional St. Patty's Day feast. So it's just like that. And so that book really is it holds so much power to empower people to really embrace the art of cooking.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really is. And
Yeah.
living, because that's the other piece that brings up is that table. That kitchen table was the foundation place of where we raised our children.
Wow. Yeah. That's great. It's great because it is a wonderful primer. And then, like I was saying, that accessibility, it gives you the information that you need to reapproach your life in the right way so that you are eating well. And you're right, that deliciousness, people need to remember it's got to taste good.
Well, and that's the tagline, and I have a funny story about the tagline. But make life delicious every day.
Mm.
How many people go, "Oh, you're gluten intolerant?" I'm like, "Yeah, and it's damn delicious," you know. But when you were saying what you were just saying about that is the thread for every single thing that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm teaching people this method, this idea to make sure that you realize the power that food has in the foundation of creating a healthy family. Because it's not just the table serves the food, but it's the communication, the spirit, teaching your children how to communicate and be together and work through things. It's probably the most powerful place in the whole home is your kitchen.
Yeah.
Whether you have a kitchen table or something else. But then the thread went from, kitchen blessings to growing great. I'm teaching all this same thing. Choose whole, close to the source, minimally processed, seasonal, locally grown foods that are going to be of benefit to our body. And then Curry Girl's Kitchen. Now we get to discover which foods are better for you. So it's like this amazing bit of
Mm-hmm.
how food has played this tremendous role. It's my hero. We say
Yeah.
this. Food is our hero.
Yeah.
It saved our life, and I believe that firmly.
Now, with the Curry Girls Kitchen, you're also working with corporations and so forth, right?
I did. Back in
Okay.
the day, Megan and I would go to corporations and we would teach lunch and learns. Growing Great, we taught. I did Toyota. We did a lot of Skechers. I would go and I would teach, a very shortened version of what
Right.
we're talking about. But it's really, it was incredible. I loved going and doing that. I did a lot of that back in the day.
Yeah. What's Curry Girl's Kitchen up to these days?
So Curry Girls today is I'm writing my book,
Mm-hmm.
Raising Children of Spirit, and it has a companion guide, and I'm doing it together. And so that is the Damn Good Gluten Free Rituals and Celebrations. So all the celebratory food that we do all the time,
Mm-hmm.
because we celebrate every kind of religion or faith or fun things. And so I'm doing that. And then I have one-on-one clients all around the country. So I kind of keep my Mondays and Tuesdays, I keep that for work. And then I have three, getting ready to have four grandbabies. So my life is very changed, with,
Wow.
I got to raise my kids and now I get to help my children. Everyone gets a day of Mima, Grandma, Gigi, whatever they call me. What the word of the day is, lovey. I'm like, okay, whatever. But I have all these beautiful three grandkids, and now we're having a fourth one come, and they just keep coming, and it's a beautiful life. It really is blessed. So I get to do my work, I get to write, I get to, love on my
Yeah.
children and their kids now.
Wow. How has it been working with, because you have such beautiful relationship with your daughters and your husband. Your family is, I feel very fortunate that I've had a chance to view your family and see your family in in action, in Big Red even sometimes. The magical VW bus.
Oh my gosh, which we just sold last year, by the way.
Oh my gosh. I
It
love
was
that.
so hard.
I bet. It's like
So
losing a child. Bye. Goodbye. Oh my
hard.
gosh. But
But
what's it
that
been?
even has, I'll tell you that story on another time because that was even divine how
Oh
it
wow. Oh
happened. Unbelievable
my.
story. Yeah, it
Oh
was magic.
my. But
Yeah.
how has it been working with your daughter with this?
So I think this is one of the, big things about, in business.
Mm-hmm.
Really take the time and understand partnership with a family member isn't always easy.
Yeah.
And what I learned with Megan 10 years in, because we were kind of like oil and water, we had very different. I'm very lively and up, and I'm like very energetic, and I'm on all the time because my brain is creative. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking. So when I see Megan, it's like all about Curry Girls. And she needed a breather,
Mm.
she needed space. And, we did a lot of therapy, years of it, until we realized Megan just wanted her mom back.
Mm.
She was, getting, getting ready to have relationships and think about family and all that. And she's like, Mom, I don't want to talk about social media. Because she literally got very burnt out. 10 years she grew our social media. That was her
Wow.
biggest thing, which until I was in it all by myself, I didn't realize the PTSD that social media can
Yeah.
have on someone because you're in this groove of it. And so I had extraordinary empathy for my daughter, Megan. I understood that all she wanted was her mom after 10 years.
Yeah.
And, it's like, okay, I finally realized, okay, we're done. You go do you, and I'm going to keep going because I still feel the passion and the desire, and I'm going to learn how to do it, and I'm going to hire an assistant, which I did 4 years
Mm.
ago, who really helps me manage the website. And we had a lot. I mean, I did podcasts. I did
Mm-hmm.
52 podcasts in a year.
Wow.
It was crazy, but so wonderful. But I have that creative spirit and this going where my brain doesn't really know how to stop. And so I had to really learn how to be Megan's mom again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was the most important thing. I needed my daughter back, and she needed her mom back. So that needs to be really at the forefront when you start to work with a child. And then the other part was neither of us had business,
Mm.
and so our business was great. And then it was like, okay, well, how are we going to shape shift it once Megan's gone and we're not teaching in-person classes anymore since COVID?
Yeah.
And that was really a big bread and butter, was to be able to teach, a lot of people at once. Um, I just started really honing my skills for coaching, and I found it to be so powerful and so wonderful to be able to change people that have been on a really challenged life with
Mm-hmm.
severe debilitating symptoms, and they all go into remission.
Wow.
So it's pretty magical. And so I love that. I love that one on one time. And once a year, I do a group reset in January. I used to do it more, but now it's just in January. I offer it for dirt cheap. So anyone that wants to do it is like, it's free, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that's the thing. But yeah, I love that. So I think learning about your partner is really important, and making sure that is a fit before you get into the weeds of
Yeah.
business together.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Is Evie's Marinara still around?
No, no. So it lived for 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I realized I didn't want to raise money
Right.
for
Money for
disease. I wanted to teach people how to
right.
eat for their health. I saw that. That was a very big aha for me.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wow. Peggy, this is glorious. We're going to get into your BizFit minute in just a second, but before anything else, do you have any last thoughts that you want to share? Make sure people know.
Um, well, I do believe that when we come on this planet, we all have some sort of purpose or meaning that we show up for. And I've been very clear of finding that meaning and purpose for me. I've always said, I'm on purpose. And you know it when it nourishes and feeds you and you wake up every day and you're happy. That's when you know you're on the right path. And so it's really honing that, taking the time to really find that for yourself. Because to me, that's a rich life.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is a rich life.
That's beautiful. I love that. Thank you for that.
Okay, so 5 things to keep in mind that I really believe when starting a business or even a nonprofit, whichever one you're choosing. Know your why. Definitely understand your why, and who is this business or nonprofit going to serve, and who are they going to help, and how are you going to take this out there into the world. You really need to think it through. The other point is that you really need to know your resources, your financials, and the support of the other people in your posse of who's going to help you. I think that's number one. Number two is partners. I mentioned that before. Be really choosy to make sure it's a good and honest fit and match. How's your personalities, your relationships? And then you also have to take into consideration, if you're married and you have children, how is it going to affect your life partner and your children's life? So there's a lot to weigh in when starting a business, because today it isn't easy, you know? The third thing is refine your mission, keep it simple. So it was really funny with the cookbook I shared. That was the funniest because a literary agent said to me, "You need to flip your title with your tagline." My original title of the book was "Make Life Delicious Every Day, Damn Good Gluten Free." She
Mm-hmm.
goes, "No one will find you. But if your title is exactly what you are, teaching gluten free, then you're going to have a better chance of people finding you." Same thing with Curry Girl's Kitchen. Everybody thought we were Indian food. No one knew who we were. If we had a clue in life, we would have never chosen Curry Girl's Kitchen. It would have been something different. It would have been something with the word gluten free, coaching, something creative. So choose your name of your business really carefully to fit the business so people can find you. And that it reflects exactly what you're doing. Oh my God, the silly names I came up with. Okay, and then refine your mission. Make sure your mission is very clear and simple. For us, it's we teach people how to eat for their health. Very clear. People know what we're doing. Okay. Don't drain the family bank. Do not drain the family bank. Make sure that you have a financial person involved that's going to help you and give you what you need, the knowledge. Neither Megan or I had that. Yet I had a husband who was a financial, but he was like, I ain't going there with you guys. And so it's how are you going to sell whatever your product is? How are you going to sell this nonprofit? And really understand the money aspect will make or break you.
Beautiful. That was awesome. That's so good. That's so good. I love that. We've had a couple of people with the why. I love that about don't drain the family bank. Knowing that and reminding people of that. Love it. Absolutely perfect. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Beautiful BizFit minute, of course. Okay, so rapid five. You ready?
Yeah.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
A doctor.
Okay, yes. And yeah, you were saying, and then realized, yeah, no, I don't think so. There we go. Okay. Well, did you have a specific kind of doctor you wanted to be, or you just wanted to be a doctor?
I just want to be a doctor. And when the first year of college, the chem class came and I failed, well, kind of failed. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to make this. So that's when I learned, I could be a teacher.
There you go. What always makes you smile?
Oh my gosh, my family. My
Yeah.
family.
Yeah. I feel that for you. I feel it too. What do you know as an adult that you wish you knew as a kid?
Food is medicine.
Oh, like that. Okay. What's your guilty pleasure?
Alone time.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to realize it. At about age 40, I went off and spent 2 weeks by myself in my cabin. And let me tell you, I came out a new person.
Wow.
New person.
Are you a spa person, by the way? Do you like to do that kind of stuff?
I love spa, but I really love being in nature, and I have a very rigorous morning practice.
Got it.
So I like the zen of
Yeah, I gotcha. Okay, and cat or dog?
dog.
Yep.
We had dogs growing up. We had one dog, so I love it.
Peggy, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much for hanging out today and for sharing all of that. I really do hope people take away from it the beauty and the value of treating themselves right and through their food,
Yeah. And it starts with the one. If you don't take care of yourself, then you don't have anything to give to your spouse or your children or your work or whatever it is that you're doing out there. So please take care of yourself.
Yeah.
It starts with you.
It starts with you. Thank you again for coming along and joining us today. And everyone out there, thank you for joining us again today. We are very happy to have had Peggy with us. Please, you'll find her website, her book in the link in the description below. Click it. You will not be sorry. And stay tuned for more about the book coming up, because we will follow up with Peggy to find out where the new book is. We will see you next time. Again, thanks for joining. F5 Collective presents Women in Business. We'll see you soon.